Right now inside the White House, there's a conversation happening that could change everything for one of the most talked about names in hip hop. And it's not a rumor, an anonymous Twitter account. This is coming from CBS News, citing multiple sources familiar with the president's private discussions. Now, Donald Trump is weighing whether to grant clemency to Sean Diddy Combs. Let's get into what we actually know because there's a lot being said right now. Here is the timeline. Friday afternoon, the president had a meeting scheduled specifically about pardons. Sources say he planned to make decisions based on recommendations from his advisors. And on that list, according to CBS, is a batch of people convicted of pollution and emission violations, specifically tied to the Clean Air Act. Now, Trump actually followed through on that part. He signed pardons for 6 convicted in vehicle emission cases, and he posted about it on Truth Socials, calling them victims of political persecution for, in his words, fixing their car. Here is where it actually gets interesting because Diddy was not on that official list. Sources say his name wasn't part of the formal recommendations from the pardons team, and yet multiple sources are telling CBS that Trump has been privately discussing the possibility of clemency for Combs, separate from that official process. So why would his name even come up if he's not on that list? Because this isn't the first time it's been raised. Now, back in January, Trump told the New York Times that Combs had sent him a letter personally requesting a pardon. At that time, Trump said he wasn't considering it. Now, months later, sources says it's back on the table, at least as a topic of private discussions. A White House official gave CBS a statement that's worth paying attention to. It said, quote, President Trump is the ultimate decider of any clemency-related actions. That's a pretty deliberate way of saying nothing is final and nothing is off the table either. As Combs' side, reports are mixed. Now, some outlets says that his legal team hasn't responded to requests for comments. Others report that his camp has denied any recent communications with the administration about a pardon. So even the details depend on which sources you're looking at. Quick reminder on where things stand legally because context matters here. Now, Combs was convicted last year on 2 counts related to transportation for prostitute, and he was acquitted for the more serious charges, the ones involving the racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking, which would have carried a life sentence. He's currently serving just over 4 years at a federal prison in New Jersey, and his release date has been reportedly been adjusted more than once in recent times. And Diddy isn't the only high-profile name being floated. Sources say Trump is also weighing clemency for Pras Michel, the Grammy-winning member of the Fugees, who's serving 14 years for being convicted in a foreign lobbying case tied to a Malaysian financier, Joe Low. Now, Low himself is reportedly seeking a pardon too, and he's the same person being accused of embezzling billions from Malaysia's Sovereign Wealth Fund. If you're new here, welcome to Project Bastyx, your source for entertainment news as it happens. Pardons have become a defining feature of this administration, as one day Trump granted clemency for more than 1,500 people connected to the January 6th Capitol riots. Since then, according to CBS, he continued extending clemency to allies facing prosecution and to people who've hired lawyers and lobbyists with connections close to him. Now, that pattern has drawn scrutiny from Democrats in Congress, who's opened an investigation into how these decisions are being made, specifically looking into concerns about what critics are calling a pay-to-play dynamic. That's the backdrop this Diddy conversation is happening against. It's not an isolated question on whether celebrities get a second chance. It's part of a much larger pattern being watched closely by lawmakers, legal experts, and frankly, the public. Now, so where does this leave things right now? This afternoon, no decision has been made, and Diddy is reportedly not on the official recommendation list, but he is, according to multiple sources, and part of the private conversation happening around the president's desk. 6 pardons for emission violation have already been signed. Everything else, including Combs, Miguel, and J-Lo, remains undecided. We are going to be watching this one very closely because if this pardon does happen, it would be one of the most significant celebrity clemency decisions of Trump's second term. And if it doesn't, that's a story too, especially given how public his back and forth between Combs and the White House has already become. We'll keep you updated the moment there's an official decision. Until then, that's everything confirmed as of right now. Now, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one.